Namaste and welcome to this special webinar series of Hindu Council of Australia's Victoria chapter. I'm Jita Jay Bharadwaj from Ethnic Link Labs. I'll be the moderator of the series today. Friends, let me introduce you for this 1 hour session. Our subject is International Day of Yoga, its significance and necessities. For this discussion, I have a very eminent panel with me. Let me start with introducing Mr. Makran Bhagwatji. He is the president for Hindu Council of Australia's Victoria chapter. Thank you, Makranji. Thank you for making this webinar possible for us. Second one is Mr. Rohit Singla. He's from Art of Living Foundation, Art of Living's yoga chapter. And let me tell you about Rohit Singlaji. Rohit is the master of breathing and meditation techniques in Melbourne. Thank you, Rohit. Thank you for joining with us. Let me introduce Shyama Sasidharan. And performing artist she is. She's an educator and yoga therapist. Thank you, Shama. Thank you so much for joining with us. And definitely she'll be talking about how people take yoga and understand by it and what are the benefits. I'll throw it open, but let me introduce Rajendra Yenakanna Mole. He is the founder of Vasudeva Kriya Yoga. If I can say something about him, he is one of the most biggest pillar of yoga at least in Victoria. He established yoga the way we know it in Melbourne. When I came 10 years back, when I asked somebody, where do I have a guru for yoga? Most of the people told me, go to Rajenji. He'll be able to discuss and tell you what yoga actually is. Thank you, Rajenji, for joining with us. So before we go to our main discussion, let me request Makran Bhagwatji if he can tell us, because I'm told that Hindu Council of Australia is doing a lot of programs around International Day of Yoga. Makranji, over to you.
Namaste. Thank you, Jitarji. And namaste, everyone. Welcome to another webinar hosted by Hindu Council of Australia's Victoria chapter. I would like to begin by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land on which we are meeting, virtually, of course, today, and pay my respects to their elders, past, present, and emerging. On this webinar today, it is on the occasion of the International Day of Yoga, announced by the United Nations back in 2014, and has been celebrated every year on 21st of June, which is next week, Monday. But we are doing a precursor for the International Yoga Day today in this webinar. We had one last week as well. And today we are going to discuss the significance and need of yoga in today's lifestyle. Unfortunately, due to the restrictions which we have due to COVID-19 here in Victoria and in Melbourne particularly, HCA Victoria was not able to hold any face-to-face events. We were planning to have a couple of events, but the venue is not allowing us to hold the events. But nevertheless, the yoga day must go on. So we are holding virtual events in Victoria. But at the same time, I must say here that there are face-to-face events happening on behalf of Hindu Council of Australia in Sydney, Adelaide, Perth, Brisbane, and all other major cities. Because as I think I mentioned previously in the previous webinar, Hindu Council is a national organization and it has got presence in all the states. So coming back to Melbourne, the first event is happening on Saturday, 19th of June, with about 100 participants. Again, virtually, it will be on Zoom, and it is supported by HSS volunteers, and it is Saturday, 9 o'clock in the morning.
And everyone is welcome to join that webinar.
Yes, we will send a link as well on our Zoom, on our Facebook page. And the second event, which was scheduled face-to-face, this time we were trying to hold it in Ballarat in regional Victoria, but that is also now happening virtually. and Hindu Council is supporting this event for a local organization in Ballarat called Friends of India. So there is a lot of enthusiasm on that event as well. So coming back to yoga, it is a gift to the mankind from the ancient Indian traditions, and most importantly, it is faith neutral. And the benefits of yoga can be harnessed by any individual practicing it to gain a healthy body and a healthy mind. So, on behalf of HCA Victoria, again, I welcome everyone today's panelists who are participating, practicing yoga teachers. So, Shamaji, Rajendraji, and Rohitji, thank you very much for joining today. And now I hand it over to Jitarji. Namaste.
Thank you so much, Makranji, for your introduction. Let me not wait and ask straight away. Let me go to Rajanji and put this question. International Day of Yoga. Why do we need a day? Yoga is known probably to everyone, mostly all over the world. If I was researching about this, then almost 240 countries are practicing, somebody or the other is practicing yoga in those countries. Then why do we need an International Yoga Day? What is its significance? Where does this yoga came? Is it only last 5 years which we are hearing about yoga, or it has a wide background? Please enlighten us.
Thank you, Jayji. This is the seventh year of International Day of Yoga celebration. And there is a Mother's Day is there, Father's Day is there, Children's Day is there, Valentine's Day is there. Many days are there. It's an environmental day, cycle day, and we are celebrating all days to remember, acknowledge its contribution to the society. And so is Yoga Day. Earlier, yoga was practiced. Yes, our Modi ji brought that one to the highlight. We must acknowledge the contribution of yoga to the wider community. And Dr. Nagendra ji, when he went to Europe, and Swami Suryanarayan ji there, he suggested to Dr. Nagendra ji that we should celebrate on a global platform. And Dr. Nagendra ji thought what day will be the best. He thought in the northern hemisphere, 21st June is the longest day, solar solstice.
Yes.
Why not we pick up? And he is a personal advisor to Prime Minister Modi ji on yoga. And he suggested this one to Modi ji, and Modi ji took this one very seriously, and he broadcasted that one in the United Nations. And no opposition. All countries raised their hand. Yes, we acknowledge the contribution of yoga to our life, our citizens' life. As Makranji said, it is a faith neutral. And irrespective of the religion, all countries put up their hand, they supported Modi ji without any opposition. And so, like any other day, yoga, some special day to celebrate. And for example, now 21st of June, now everyone is aware. Yes, yoga, at least we had to do something. Now, Hindu Council of Victoria Makranji was saying that it's celebrated on the 19th, and Parliament they wanted to do, and in Sydney it's done, it is happening in Adelaide. So, global awareness, it is motivating people to lead a healthy lifestyle. It is something to trigger. We need a trigger point. 21st of June, International Day of Yoga is a trigger for all of us, and to celebrate the health and wellness. Thank you.
Thank you, Rajanji. Thank you for your remark. And yes, definitely we celebrate so many days. But I'll take it to Shama. Shama, what Rajanji has outlined is a most recent part of International Yoga Day. But was there a yoga celebration before this? I'll keep it open to you.
Well, yoga itself is a celebration, and I think the yoga was always a celebration, even before World Yoga Day was acknowledged, International Yoga Day was acknowledged. The thing is, whoever has experienced the goodness in yoga, they have always felt that it's a celebration. And for everyone who's been practicing yoga, it's not a day of yoga or a week or an hour of yoga. It's a lifestyle. So I think the celebration is endless, and now we have a day to acknowledge that we are celebrating yoga every day. But then this specific day is just an acknowledgement, like Rajendra ji said, that it is a date to actually acknowledge that there is so much of benefits that this ancient science has given or contributed to the world.
Rohit, Shama and Rajin ji are probably on the same page in terms of how it has been acknowledged, and they seems to be very happy about it. You at this juncture, how do you look back to the traditions of yoga, maybe not thousands, at least hundreds of years back? Probably yoga was started by Indians somewhere in the Himalayas.
Let us first of all ask ourselves the question, what is the definition of yoga and what is the purpose of yoga? So that itself can answer a lot of questions that you have asked me, and of course the panelists have shared as well. So yoga has been derived from a Sanskrit word called yuj, which is to unite or integrate. Yes. So yoga is a 7,000 plus years old Indian body of knowledge. It's physical, mental, and spiritual practice, which is union of body, breath, and mind. So it is a state of harmony at every level of our existence. So that way, I would say yoga is not limited to just one country or one tradition or one culture. It is the wealth of humanity that humanity has come up with, and the purpose of wealth is to bring happiness and peace. If wealth doesn't succeed in achieving this goal of bringing comfort to human psyche and human life, you wouldn't call it wealth, would you? Right? So yoga is a wealth in that sense that it brings absolute comfort to our existence.
And how do you see the significance, if I can ask you, the significance of International Yoga Day?
The significance of International Day of Yoga is such that Prime Minister of India, Shri Narendra Modi ji, he said this is a gift of our ancient tradition. It's like Italy gave us pizza. Yes. US gave us cars, modern cars. Japan is giving us technology. So same way, the Indian tradition is giving us peace and comfort. So I found myself from my experience when I started doing yoga that it brought so much comfort within myself, helped me to become stress free, to be able to smile in small things, to connect with nature, to connect with myself, and just relax in whatever I'm doing. So actually what yoga has done, it has helped me to bring up a skill in life. Yes. So like the Maharishi Patanjali, he is the founder of or propounder of yoga. He said yogaha karmasu koshalam, which means yoga is skill in action. Same thing Lord Krishna said 5,000 years ago. Yoga is skill in action. So yoga is not just an exercise. It is how skillfully we can communicate, how skillfully we can act in any given situation. That also is yoga. So I don't think anyone here would say we don't want skills. I don't think anyone would say we don't want innovation. So yoga and skill are synonymous. If we are skillful, it means somewhere we have learned the principle of yoga.
Wow.
Yoga, yeah. So yoga is the way to be skillful, yet happy and stress free and joyful from within.
That is fantastic definition. Very easy to understand. Shama, let me throw it to you. Uh, you are a therapist. when you say you are a yoga therapist, what does that mean? Is it the resemblance, or is it the shadow what Rohit is saying, or it is different than that?
Well, see, yoga therapy is something that we have recently heard of. It is not something that that has always been there. But then, as any science evolves, we have to actually give yoga its own space to actually evolve. And like everyone has acknowledged, this is something that has been there ages back, and we have to actually acknowledge the fact that it has evolved over time as well. We can't relate it to one particular era or one particular time, because the knowledge as we move forward has expanded, and that expansive knowledge has actually been contributing and is still contributing. Like in modern days, as of now, we have so many different kinds of yoga that has emerged, some good, some commercial, some not so great, but still people, are they happy, are they feeling excited, and are they feeling at peace doing what they are doing? If the answer is yes, it is contributing to well-being. So let's just understand what World Health Organization understands by the term health. We know that World Health Organization describes state of health as being a complete physical, mental, social well-being, and not just the absence of diseases. So this itself throws light on the fact that for somebody to become healthy or good, feel good, it isn't the absence of diseases, but it is an entire well-being that we are looking at. So, as a part of this well-being, it is essential that we acknowledge that we need to make our minds calm. We need to actually be calm from inside. We need to understand what our state of mind is. Like, there is so much of emphasis on psychosomatic diseases nowadays. So people have acknowledged, modern science has acknowledged that there are physical ailments that arise out of your mental unstillness. Again, back to one of Patanjali's definitions, which says that yoga chitta vritti nirodha. What is chitta vritti? It is the mind that is unrestful. And to bring your mind, like there are so many people who would argue, how can you talk about chittam and your body, being two different things? They're all the same. But at the end of the day, there is something called acknowledgement, a time to actually take a deep breath, understand. It's a state of deep mindfulness, not just the asanas that we practice during a 1 hour session in our yoga class. Yoga is, an all-encompassing lifestyle, and I think that's the most beautiful aspect of it all. Every one of us practicing yoga have gained something out of it, and we have, probably contributed a little bit of our own knowledge into it. But then to have understood the entire science or entire ocean of yoga is beyond my comprehension for now.
Uh, Rajinji, I'll try to put you in and ask you, how is what Shama is saying, yoga is evolving itself in terms of modern life? Is it in last 25 or so years with Vasudeva Kriya Yoga? How do you see it evolving?
It's evolving in the sense, I will first make a point to Rohitji mentioned, yoga 7,000 years old. I take it a point, yoga is from the beginning of the creation. Whatever is in balance is called as yoga. Yada yada hi dharmasya. Whenever there is a imbalance, its correction happens. Right from the creation, yoga is there. When there is no balance, then it is not yoga. Lord makes sure that there is always yoga. Right from the creation, it is there. And it is the science, the time to time, great masters come and talk about the significance of yoga in the current situation. About Patanjali, Shama mentioned about 2,200 years back. What Patanjali mentioned, it was very relevant to that time. Now, the same message, to decipher that one in the modern context, the modern teachers will convey the message such a way that modern audience can understand. It's a message, same is there, it has to be conveyed in a modern language. Otherwise, modern generation, they said, sorry, I'm not interested. I don't understand. It is an ancient science, and younger generations, they are not interested in these things. Why? Because we are not talking in their language. When I start communicating in the modern language, even the young people are interested. How brilliant! It is relevant. I can relate to that one. And yoga is nothing but you had to communicate in the modern language. And maybe Bhagavad Gita 5,000 years old, you apply that one. Fundamental science itself is not great. Fundamental science has to be applied in the modern day. Then only we will appreciate the fundamental science. If we do not know the applied science, fundamental science becomes a redundant. I don't know what to do with that one. Yoga is nothing but how to convert the fundamental science into the applied science. That is yoga.
Wow, it just opens your mind. Probably I'll go to Rohit. Rohit, art of living are the probably masters of converting the conversation into modern ways. So, how do you pick up from what Rajanji is saying?
Rajenji has rightly said that yoga has existed throughout. It's just that the text available from the writings of those people who were the scientists of those time who studied themselves is only available for up to maybe 7,000 years. But if you really look at yoga, the purpose of yoga is to create, as per Shri Shri Ravi Shankar, he's the founder of Art of Living. He says the purpose of yoga and meditation is to create a violence-free society. Yes, a disease-free body, a stress-free mind, inhibition-free intellect, a trauma-free memory, and a sorrow-free soul is the birthright of every individual. And the parliaments all over the world are striving to achieve this goal of human existence. That is real happiness. Like Shamaji was mentioning, um, happiness means not just becoming disease free. Happiness is the inner blossoming, isn't it? Do you agree with me? Yes. So happiness for our people is where you can just relax, whatever you are doing, you are not stressed, you are at ease with your surroundings, you are at ease with yourself. That is the purpose of yoga. And that's why if we can follow the Ashtanga yoga, which is 8 limbs of yoga, the first one, namely, is yama, which is attitude towards our environment. Because if we are going to pay attention to our environment, if the rivers, if the mountains, if the forests are taken care of, if our surroundings are clean, then of course we will feel good. Then the next one is niyama, which is attitude towards ourselves, looking after our body, making sure we are physically, mentally, emotionally healthy and spiritually uplifted. Then comes the physical postures, which is not just bending your body or stretching your body. It goes more into making sure that each and every cell is getting the required nutrition, the oxygen, the prana. And that leads us to the pranayama, the restraint or expansion of breath. And then next comes the pratyahara, which is withdrawal of all our senses to focus on ourselves, which is again concentration, dharana. And then it leads us to a state of meditation, which leads to complete samadhi, complete integration of our body, mind, and spirit complex. So that is the reason why we are doing yoga. And if we can follow all these 8 limbs of yoga, we can have harmony around us and within us.
Uh, Rohit says harmony within us. I'll give you a very current example of mine. I'm right now in this webinar, fully understanding with you people, but a part of my mind is somewhere away. Shama, you are a therapist, yoga therapist. Please help me and the people who are listening to us. How do I bring that calmness or I'm unable since morning, like for last 6 7 hours, I'm unable to bring it back to myself. Half of my brain is somewhere else and is really bothering me. If situation like this is there, how what is the role of therapist and how you can help us or how the yoga can help us?
Well, back to the question that you asked me earlier again about being a therapist. Therapy is basically an integrated approach to actually help people with particular ailments to help overcome or ease the discomforts of that particular ailment. So it is not a treatment of its own, but it is an integrated approach where we talk with with doctors or and consult with. Physicians to understand what the condition of a person is, and based on that condition what can be done to actually ease the problems of that person. Now, the question you asked me about mind wandering, that's what I was talking about, chitta vritti nirodha. So, how do you stop your, mind which is wavering, mind which is very fluctuating and flickering? So, with the presence of yoga, with the essence that we derive from yoga, what we can do is basically see our understanding of the human body, the existence. Rather, I'd say existence is in the five sheets or five layers of existence. When we talk about our Annamaya Kosha, like exactly what you just said, you are right now, right here in your physical presence, but your Pranamaya Kosha might be somewhere here, but your Manomaya Kosha or your mind or mental layer of existence is wavering around. It is partly here, partly somewhere else, but your Vijnanamaya Kosha definitely wants to be here, which is your state of intellect, and the final layer of existence, which is the Anandamaya Kosha, which is talking about blissful state. So our understanding of the human anatomy is such that we call them sheets of existence. So to bring all of these layers of existence into one into a single point is what yoga does. So what happens is all of this is existing within us. So this is something that modern science always argues about. They say that how do you talk about the mind and the body separate, because the mind is within the body, so how do you call it separate? But according to us, we understand the mind and body as different layers of consciousness. Okay, the physical layer of consciousness, or the body that you see and feel, is what is fed by food, which is why we call it the Annamaya Kosha. But beyond which there is something called a prana. So we obviously understand the change in the breath that we take in as situations change. When you're stressed, when you're concerned, when you're getting scared, you start breathing heavily. When you're tired, or when you're sad, when you're struck with sorrow, what happens? Your breath becomes very shallow. So yes, something has to, your breath is playing a role. But when what is actually triggering your breath to do this? It is actually your mind. Your manomaya kosha is playing with your pranamaya kosha. So it's actually going the other way. Like I mentioned about psychosomatic diseases, people talk about diseases of the mind which is hurting the physical body. Why does that happen? Because your physical body is getting strained by something that is happening within your mind. If you're able to actually treat your mind, calm your mind down, your physical ailments or physical symptoms will or may reduce. So one of the basic problems are stress. Okay, stress of the mind would play a major problem in within your physical body, and what happens is people end up with terrible pain in their body. It's blockage of energy, what we understand. So we don't want blockage of energy. So what we have to understand is what causes your mind to wander. Once you understand that, we try to defocus your attention from those causes and put your focus on something else called your prana, which is your breath. Okay, so again we come back to pranayama or breathing techniques to actually bring your mind into your body or into yourself, or into the present, into the moment. So yes, take a deep breath in, Jitarji, and probably you'll come back here.
I'm trying. I'm trying hard. I'll talk to you about this, but let me go to Rajanji. I want to take it one step further, Rajanji. If you can kindly tell me what Shyama is saying. It has to go. What is the methodology? If I'm asking you, Vasudeva Kriya, when you are telling people or practitioners, how do you take this stage uh, of mind where I am from probably a satisfied way or a concentrated way? Sometimes I think that I have got ADHD. From that stage to coming back to the normal sense of what I want to feel normal. How do you do it, Rajanji?
And to answer that one, why my mind is wandering, it is said interest and attention goes together. If I do not have any interest, mind wants to seek out somewhere. And to begin with, develop an interest. When you get an interest, when I start knowing about that one more and more, I get an interest. My interest is sports. Cricket, I am glued to the television, ball by ball. I want to see. Why I'm so intense attention is there. If somebody behind me calls me, I won't hear. Is it called as a meditation? My interest is there. My mind is so focused. I can hear, so glued. I can, after 1 hour, if somebody asked in that third over what happened, I can say first ball 4 runs, second ball 2 runs, and I know everything because of the interest. And for me, for other things, I'm not interested. My parents asked me to do yoga. I'm not interested. I want to go out. I want to go here. The main thing is yoga, how to develop. First, see what is your own quality. Everyone is unique. No two things are equal. I can't, my son cannot be like me, like two fingerprints are not the same. Two leaves in the trees are not the same. Two fruits in the trees do not taste the same. Then how I should expect somebody to become like me? Everyone is unique. Everyone has a special quality. Discover your taste. When you had develop a taste, interest goes there. Yoga says, try to find out what you are good at. What is your interest? Not to throttle that person. You do this one. We parents push that one. You become a doctor. Why? A lot of money is there. You become that one. Why? A lot of money is there. My interest is not there. You start blossoming when you are doing what you are good at. Discover that one. That is the path of emancipation as mentioned in Shastras. Path of liberation. In Bhagavad Gita, Sri Krishna talks about Yatha Deepo Nivatasto Nengate Sopama Smrita Yogino Yatha Chittasya Injate Yoga Atmanaha. Yogi's mind is like a flame, the flame in the candle. And how in the yogis seem to be doing many things, but never loses the focus of life. Like the wick is always connected with the flame as long as the fuel is there. At the tip, it may be seem to be moving here and there, but wick is always connected. When I discover my own ability, I maybe seem to be doing this one, like Jaiji, he mentioned, maybe doing here, but I haven't lost contact with what I want to do in my life. Develop the interest, and attention. Interest is there, attention will naturally come.
Thank you, Rajji, for explaining it to me. But let me be a little more. Rajenji and Shama has put the onus of my incapabilities on me. They are saying, do what you are good at, develop your taste, develop your interest. But please help me. I'm incapable of doing that. I can't do that. And there are a lot of people like me who probably my understanding was, and I was doing a research and there was a paper, it was saying that a lot of people think that they will learn and they will do things. They never develop a taste for anything. They just do because they need to do it. So probably I'm in that state of mind. Please help me around. Rohitji.
From my experience, I was actually the last person to do yoga or meditation. I was having some physical and mental health issues. That's when I started the yoga way. And what I realized, that neither at school nor at home does anyone teach us how to handle our negative emotions. Yes, we talk about don't get angry, don't behave like this. So there is always a don't. And you will find out from research the scientists have gathered that until the age of 13, we have heard the word no about 3 million times. We have heard the word no. And our mind is like a child. It doesn't identify with the word no. Like a little child, if you ask the child, hey, don't touch this, and of course the child will listen to you for a few minutes. Once you are gone, what will the child do the same thing. So it's the resistance in our life that is causing us the trouble. Has this happened to us? Wherever we have resisted, it has persisted. So yoga has a secret to turn this state of mind, to make us independent, to empower us to feel the way we want to feel at any time, rather than being a victim of our feelings. In experience of, we are teaching around the world, more than over 1 million people we have taught in prisons, art of living teachers or practitioners have. And what we have found, every culprit is saying he is a, or she is a victim of something, of some conditioning, of some life events that have happened. And so what do we really need to do? We need to heal the victim in a person. The culprit will disappear. So the philosophy of yoga is that we take our attention away from the mind, which is causing the problem. We bring it one step back to our breath, and a simple act of breathing can do this so job so effortlessly. That's where in art of living we teach sky breathing meditation, which in which we breathe in different rhythms, different patterns, and that helps to eliminate the trauma and the strong impressions in the mind. Like Rajinder ji was saying, these are all impressions in the mind. I like cricket, I like this, so I don't like yoga. These are all created by ourselves. So how to get rid of those impressions is by just relaxing with breath. By practicing yoga, we can really bring a shift in our body, mind, and our consciousness, and we can flourish and we can blossom in a smile, in joy, and in peace.
I'll put this question to because Rohit has talked about kids. Yeah, I'll talk about teenagers and teenagers, that too girls. In Australian modern life, our own kids, my daughter or her friends or girls like that, they have their own issues with adjusting within the household, in the school, and society as large. Shama, uh, what do you tell them? How do you like make them understand their own abilities in terms of uh, being able to cope with?
Well, thank you for asking that question to me because as a practitioner of yoga, I'll also have to tell you that I am a dance teacher and I do deal with a lot of youngsters and especially teenage girls who are very confused about their cultural upbringing and they do not know where they belong and they do not know why they are doing this particular thing. Sometimes they get so disconnected to where they belong and what their roots are. It is essential to empower our children with the knowledge and the understanding that your cultural upbringing doesn't ever have to hamper your hamper the way that you interact with the rest of the world. In fact, it should empower you to become a much more confident person. And if we are able to show them that, what I have felt is that the lack of knowledge among parents, when they ask questions, the most beautiful way to discover the world is ask the right questions. But then just asking the questions doesn't serve because you need to have the answers. Sometimes our parents are unable to give answers because we have, like, probably like one of our guests had mentioned that World Yoga Day is the way that common man came to know about yoga. Like until then, yoga was just somebody, some rishi in some Himalayas does this, but then not us. But then now yoga has gained a much wider global significance. So this is essential. And apart from that, when children start understanding that their cultural background can actually make them stronger to face the rest of the world, what we can do is talk to them in their language, like Rajendra ji said in the beginning. We all package different things in a way that it is appealing to everyone. Not everything appeals to everyone. So perhaps one person's yoga, or now there are so many packages for yoga. So one person's yoga may not be appealing to me, but my yoga may not be appealing to somebody else. So at the end of the day, what do you want? Like, you choose. Like, we come from an ancient philosophy where we have so many gods to choose from, right? If this god doesn't appeal to me, I go to that god. But then, see, at the end of the day, we all know that it is one way or the other to connect to a supreme consciousness, whatever name we call this god by. Likewise, whatever yoga path you take, there are so many paths of yoga, right? It is according to my choice, or my taste and interest, that I choose which path of yoga I take. I can do karma yoga, I can do kriya yoga, I can do bhakti yoga. Like, it depends on what margam, or the path that I wish to take. Yeah, for example, when young girls come to me, they're hyperactive and excited. If I ask them to sit down, breathe calmly, focus on your breath, it never happens that way. Okay, so rather I introduce them to dynamic yoga, where there is a lot of movement involved. They feel they are connected a little more to the current society, because they feel that these moments, or the dynamism that I show in yoga, has a lot to do with flexibility. See, yoga and flexibility are two different things. You can become flexible doing yoga asanas, but then that is not the ultimate aim of yoga. But then, when a youngster, teenager approaches me, I'd rather give her that, because that is what excites her. Okay, if that can let her mind calm down, why not? Okay, eventually, when she starts understanding, like, when a teenager does yoga, they might do it for the sake of the pose. They want to take a picture in that pose. Later on, when you start understanding the goodness, when you start understanding what yoga is all about, the pose becomes very insignificant, and you start looking inward. This is what we want, right?
That's right. That's right. Uh, uh, I'll pick it from where Shama is. Rajanji, what's your experience, and what are your suggestions for the teenage kids, maybe female or male? Where shall they start yoga? And Shama mentioned the right answers to them. What are the right answers in your mind?
So, as Shama mentioned, get them involved and occupied. That is the first step, as she mentioned. And as I mentioned also, not to force onto the teenagers. The moment you force, they rebel. They think parents are oldies and they don't know the reality. And not to force onto them, and get them involved and try to explain. And if they ask the question, instead of saying shut up or look at the Google, you have to tell. In the Upanishad also, it is there in the Shat Prashna Upanishad also. The son asked the question, Shwetaketu, Father Uddalaka said, even I don't know, come, let us learn together. And instead of avoiding the question or go and find out, go and ask that one, parent also show interest in learning, and not to pretend that we are the expert. I also don't know, come, let us learn. And that involvement should be there, that parents also be part of the learning. Parents should not think I am the master, and there is a learning all the time. And engage them, engage the children, and talk in their language, and and communicate in their language. And in the Bhagavad Gita, Sri Krishna talks about Tasmat Yogi Bhavarjuna. The underlining word, you become an yogi. The yoga is not just becoming, bending or twisting, or they did, I am also doing. They in the International Day of Yoga, Dr. Nagendra ji, that he mentioned his target this year, about 80 crore people should do yoga worldwide. Please help me to promote 80 crore. That is the target for this year. And I may be among 80 crore, I am one among them. And doing that one, it is not the underlining message. In the Bhagavad Gita, Shri Krishna says, Tasmat Yogi Bhavarjuna, you become a genius. That's the meaning of that one. Ordinary people they'll be wiped out. Only the genius will stick out. You become a genius. And how to become a genius? Bhagavad Gita says this ways, this way, this way, this way. How to become the goal of yoga? You not becoming like somebody, you become yourself, you become a genius. When you are become a genius, entire world is in your fingertip. You are unstoppable. You become that one. Motivate your children. You are a genius. Become a genius. You become unstoppable. How to do? These are the process. Observe rules and regulation, yama, niyama, asana. These are the steps. But goal, when you talk about the goal, you become a best in your field. You are in mathematics, become a genius in mathematics. If you are in physics, become a genius in that one. If you are in sports, become a genius. If you are in a yoga, you become a genius. Yeah, whatever area you are in, you become a genius. That is the message of Lord Sri Krishna to everyone. And there is no, in the ordinary, if I'm in the ground floor, so many competition. In the work floor, in the shop floor, so many competition. As I scale up, when I become a genius, there is no competition for me. World is at my fingertips. Earth is a small stage. Universe is an arena. When I have realized that one, I am unstoppable. You become that one. That is the ultimate purpose of yoga.
Rajanji is very inspirational. You are just pumping me up. But I'll go to Makranji. Makranji have a couple of questions. Let him ask that, and then I'll direct it to one of you, Makranji.
Okay, so thank you. It has been a fantastic discussion, and each one of you is giving a lot of insight. It is really appreciated. So, on the occasion of this yoga day, and if there are some listeners who are probably for the first time listening to something like yoga, what would you recommend they should do at least on that day to begin their journey in yoga? Is my main question, and also. If you can later on talk about applicability of yoga to, we have talked about teenagers, which is really good. What about people in the middle-aged category, someone like me, for example? So the first question is, what should they do on the 21st of June or the next weekend? And the second one is for middle-aged people. Thank you.
I'll just correct Makranji's question. Middle-aged are people like me, Makranji. Just joking. I'll throw it to Rohit first, and then we'll take it over to Rajanji and Shama. Rohit, what do you think?
I think everyone can join the function, which is obviously due to the current reasons is happening online. Hindu Council of Victoria or Australia has organized a function. Everyone can join, and there will be some activities. I believe there will be some yoga postures will be taught. Art of Living also runs some free sessions online every week. You can join us, or you can simply just research on YouTube, find something that works for you. It could be something as gentle as doing some pranayamas, which is breathing exercises. And then once you have that experience, your body will start opening up. You will feel more flexible. You will feel so enthusiastic, so energetic that you will probably take the next step. And I think that's the place to start. And if you really look at yoga, it has no conflict in belief system, because yoga promotes harmony in diversity. Yeah, so yoga means uniting of all diverse aspects of life. Now, whether you are a businessman, you are a public figure, middle age, old age, or a private individual, we all want peace. We all want to smile. We all want to be happy. And the best way is to learn some breathing, some stretches to really push our body a little bit, maybe not overdoing something that you're not comfortable with, because some people don't like gym for that reason, because it can be stressful for them. So maybe you can start going for a walk, and then you find yourself in the nature, You can pick up on some yoga postures, like I said before, which are really easy. I actually was watching yesterday. There is a lady, she's the oldest yoga teacher in the world, in the Americas or London somewhere. She's 96 years old and she started doing yoga only in her 80s. So age is not a barrier to practicing yoga or meditation or breathing. Actually, yoga is very gentle if you practice it that way. So I leave it there.
Rajanji, before you go, I want you to reply to Makranji, as well as give us some tip. Where shall we start? If a person like me who is starting on International Day of Yoga, where shall we start?
It's a general questions. People, if you ask people to join, general thing they say, sorry, I'm not flexible. That is the general answer. And they used to say, general people, they say, my grandmother used to do, my great grandfather used to do. What about you? I'm not flexible. It is not for me. And that is the common excuses. There are many triggers for yoga, like people going to Ayurveda or other things. When everything fails, when they hear from the doctor, better you do pranayam or meditation or calm yourself down or do some yoga, then they listen. And slowly there is a trigger for many people why they have to do yoga. That yoga, and some trigger they will get. And it's a best is yoga is beyond the flexibility. Are you flexible mentally? That is the question. Are you rigid? If I'm rigid in my mind, I cannot do. I cannot force somebody to do. Physical flexibility is later, it will come. Are you flexible mentally? Yes, I am flexible. You want to give it a go? Yes. Then it is a slow start. For International Day of Yoga, what we are doing, we have been celebrating International Day of Yoga to spread the message for last 12 years, 13 years in Melbourne. And this year, for the second time, we are going to the federal parliament with the message, health is wealth. And Australia, this year, they are spending $121 billion on health budget. Every year, budget is going up. And still, there is a cry, it is not enough. Mental health, they are investing around $7 billion. And what I am going to pitch is prevention is better than the cure. You are always busy all over the world. All governments are heading in one way. Pump, increase the budget, health budget. How about invest on the health rather than the investing on the how to fix the problem, and invest on the health and promote the health, wellness, positivity, and introduce yoga in the early school, in the school itself, promote the retreat centers. And we are conveying that message to the federal minister, health minister, and to the parliamentarians. When it comes from the federal level, ministerial level, and it may be a uphill task to begin with, but with the support, we are raising a petition also, with the community support, they will listen to us. That initially it may be difficult to overcome the lobby from the medical lobby and other lobby, but it's a good starting point. We want to continue, and the pitch on this side, when it is introduced in the school arena and other places, children are familiar. Yes, I want to do yoga. I conduct a children yoga class also. As slow as it's a little as 2-year, 3-year-old come, they send me the poster. It's a posting or video. Look at me doing headstand, Shirsasana. Look at me doing Chikrasana. They introduce that one, them right from the early age. Looking at the children, parents are also slowly drawn in. And it is include everyone from the top, the government level, and from here, children level. And let us together convey the message to the community.
We got only 5 more minutes, so Shama, I'll give you 2 more minutes. Make a concluding remark, and please do reply to Mokhranji also.
Oh, certainly. So, Makranji, your question was how does a beginner start on Yoga Day? Well, as a practitioner and a teacher, I would advise that you don't go to YouTube and check videos and try doing something from there because every individual is different and we don't want you to do something that would not be the best for you. Or if you have any health conditions, you need to know there are certain contraindications for certain poses. So, unless you know what your health condition is, you shouldn't be trying to do yoga postures. Rather, if you really are keen on doing yoga, there are so many amazing institutions out here. So why don't you just open up, do your research 1 week before we have 1 week to go before International Day of Yoga. Do your research, join a place and learn it from the guru, from the teacher directly, rather than using the internet because internet is an amazing place. Google is an amazing search engine, but not all information may be accurate. So why don't you approach one of the teachers of amazing institutions that we have here? We have some very capable teachers right here with us. So I would say that you make the use of this amazing faculty that you have available. And beside all that, just take a moment to breathe, walk out in nature, be thankful and be grateful for what we are. I think that's the best way we can connect with ourselves and consciousness that is much bigger than higher than us. Um, and that itself will be a calming thing to do on World Yoga Day, and that will actually open your eyes into doing more of yoga. And from then, you are already doing yoga.
Thank you, Shama. Thank you so much.
Thank you
Rohit,
very
I'll
much.
go to Rohit. Your concluding remark. I got almost a minute for you.
I will just like to conclude by Sanskrit um, stanza that Patanjali, the father of yoga, has written. He has enunciated the purpose of yoga is Heyam Dukkham Anagatam. The purpose of yoga is to stop the misery before it comes. So, like my co panelists Rajendra ji and Shama ji said, let us work on our health before we have some disease or mental or physical issues. Let's be healthy, let's smile, let's breathe, let's be energetic, let's be enthusiastic, let's be compassionate, let's be peaceful, and create love and harmony in this beautiful nation on this beautiful planet. Thank you so much.
Makranji, your concluding remarks, please.
Wonderful, wonderful messages. Thank you very much, everyone. And I think this discussion was so good. Uh, it is worth watching again and again. For those listeners who did not join us live, I think they can go back to Hindu Council Week Facebook page and watch it again and take a lot of input from this session. So really good. The second option is, of course, this entire webinar is also going to be available on the YouTube. So again, search Hindu Council Victoria and you will find the video there. 1 hour is not enough to discuss anything, but I think all the panelists and Jithaji, thank you very much for articulating the discussion. We touched upon several subjects and had an insight into various aspects of yoga. I really hope with this video and with this attempt which we are trying to do on the occasion of the International Day of Yoga, many more people will join this movement and get benefit to themselves. So thank you very much, Rohit ji, Rajendra ji, and Shama ji in your contribution. We really appreciate. Thank you very much. Namaste.
Thank you so much for joining with us. This was a special webinar from Hindu Council of Australia's Victoria chapter. We conclude here. I thank all my guests, Shamaji, Rajanji, Rohitji, and Makranji. Thank you so much for joining with us. And we'll be bringing you another special session on 20th, this Sunday. Thank you so much for joining. Namaskar.
Thank you. Namaste.
Thank you.